G'day, welcome to my garden. I've got a message from the universe. It's for you and only you. Come on now, let's talk about reinvention. I pulled some cards, I've got some questions. The questions are, what was prescribed to you against your will? Where are you being the same as everyone else in a way that you don't like? What is the diamond that would stop you looking back? Why would you like to begin again? Is it in your head? What do you believe in? So much that you could remove yourself from the equation. And finally, we're going to talk about wind again. So the image that I'm given, first of all, is the phoenix rising. But the phoenix needs an egg to be born. And so what's in that egg? And why do we feel a need to reinvent ourselves? Why do you have 2,000 items sitting in your Temu cart? There's something about your relationship with time, because reinvention is kind of a protest against the idea that you have a limited amount of time, because things would progress naturally and you would ultimately get to where you need to get. You're eventually gonna get there. People get concerned about the idea of destiny. But I think a better way to think about destiny is that your essence or your nature prescribes the destination. It's sequencing. It's like your DNA or your blueprint for life or your gene keys predetermine the way you're going to be and what your essence is. And that's cool because you like it. Like, you will like it. There's not a chance that you don't like your gene keys. This isn't about discovering yourself and deciding how you want to be portrayed. What is reinvention? A better band-aid for your insufficiencies. What a waste of time. You're searching for the wrong thing. If you're looking for a band-aid for your insufficiencies that will cover them better than the other band-aid, you're not healing the wound. And the wound is healed by breathing. Not literally. It's about breath. It's about the rhythm of inspiration. A couple of videos ago, I made a video called Move, and it was all about the wind element. And I'm back here again thinking about wind because, as opposed to water, which we're always referring to in the spiritual world, be like water, flow like water. And water is very measured. You can manipulate water and you can guide it into stillness and you can dictate the coding of water in a way that is decisive and certain. And that's a great ideal. But what's more true is wind. Like, wind is so uncontrollable. Wind, you don't know where it comes from unless you're like a meteorologist. Wind cannot stagnate. It doesn't have the option. It is the flow of water without the possibility for stillness. And that's what you need. You think you need stillness. You think you need to be in the egg. Oh, but you need to surrender to the chaos. And the reason you want this egg is because you want to try and control the outcome of like how your surrounding environment is going to react to the force of these winds, but it can't be controlled. And that's where you learn. Like, you learn in the momentum. I've said it before that like you can try and learn to surf off the waves, but nothing will teach you to surf like surfing does. And so there's no benefit to being in the egg. The egg is actually full of all... the egg is actually full of all of the patterns you actually want to get rid of, and you're trying to bathe deeper. You're like, if only I could just have some quiet around here, I could bathe deeper in this egg and get to the answers. But that's not at all how you're actually going to find the spirit that will give you the strength to break out of the egg. Jacob Collier says, if you want the world to make space for you, you need to make space for yourself. You need to step out and you need to proclaim, I'm here. And this is how much space I require. So if you're currently in an environment that cannot, or that you believe cannot handle you, you need to change the way you think about it. Or you need to demand something else. Side note, if you heard me say that and you were like, no, but you don't understand my situation, the message for you is about fantasy. Like if you're genuinely trapped, say you're too young to leave home, or you've got a set time period to be stuck in the one place, and you just know that you can't possibly break out of your current circumstance, it's about fantasy. Go to the fantasy of, what do you wish that you could do? An old version of me might have said, I wish I could dance freely when I'm in the house with my parents around. But eventually I had to confront the fact that's just my own shame. I can figure out how to be comfortable doing that with them around. Okay, back onto the path. Max Spears once said, how could you possibly understand something if you weren't it, then not it? Being in an egg is a test of faith. It's a test of your belief that you really are this thing. And so to experience the full extent of being that thing, you need to first not be that thing, or to know inside that I am that thing, even though my whole environment dictates that I'm not. If you really want to be an artist, like a musician, a pianist, and you're not as good as you want to be yet, you're not the part of you that's angry about that. You're actually not it, because the anger, it comes from a strong spirit in you that knows I am this. So why am I not experiencing this? So just experience this. Wow, I'm full of quotes today. Sorry about it. John Mayer once said, your legs will take you. He was in a live stream and he was talking about if there's somewhere you want to get and you don't know how you're going to get there, your legs will take you. But then I think he also said, if you start something now, in 2 weeks, you'll be 2 weeks closer to being it. But that's about time. All right. If there's a skill or an identity that you want to embody, stop thinking about what you believe the requirements to fulfill that identity would be, and start solely feeling for that part in you that can imagine what it would feel like to be that thing. It's an indicator that you have that part in you because you're angry that you can't get there right now. And you feel that impatience because you know your potential, because you can feel it somewhere inside of you. The only reason you could be frustrated is you know that there's a part of you that's already there and you don't know how to bring it into the physical and have it be witnessed by other people. So you have to let it go. You have to be okay with the fact that people can't see that you're that yet. Haven't you seen Kanye West in his documentary before he was famous? He's at the record label studios and he plays his tape to like this chick at the desk, and she tries to pretend he's not there, and he's just so into his music. Like he knew even though the world didn't know. You've got to hold the version of you that you feel. You don't want to construct it from the outside. It's not about the practicalities as much as it is about the sensation of already being there. And I'm sure you've heard this a million times. It's Abraham Hicks 101. It's imagine that you're already there and feel your way towards it. I'm going to keep using the example of a pianist. If you're not as good as you want to be, whatever good means to you as a piano player, you might think that the only way for you to get there is to practice until you become your idea of what that is. But do you see how that's like a practical, it's an outside, it's a band-aid approach to some extent. Because in the background, there's also feeling being a pianist. And if you're a master of energy and you're into this spiritual stuff, you know that you can tap in to the field of knowledge that is piano. If you become metaphysically attuned to the all that is, the Akash, and you empty yourself out to the whole of information that's around you, floating in the air and in the history of all that ever has been in time, then you already have access to every pianist that has ever played, every song that's ever been written, every skill that you could ever have. You have access to jazz, you have access to all of the other things that aren't jazz, classical. That's the only two musics I know. Tune out the outside circumstance that says that's not how it works, you just need to practice. There's a faster way to do it, actually. Well, all that way is when the time doesn't even exist. You bend time, you fold time when you tap in. I don't like the word tap in. It's like when spiritual people say like going online. So not tap in. What would it be? It's like melt down. It's like melting. It's like erasing yourself almost. Which is why this question came in. I feel like we're on a treasure hunt. It's so discombobulated. What do you believe in so much that you could remove yourself from the equation for it? Like on behalf of your passions. Like I'm so passionate about dance and the world of dance and my beliefs about and philosophies about movement that I could lay myself down for it. You know, like the faith is that strong that I really could disappear and it doesn't have to be about me. I just want to see everyone else get into it. Like, what's that for you? Reinvention is so low stakes. Like, you don't have skin in the game. If you're just trying to simply reinvent, no, you need to throw out the old model. You need to scrap the old model, recycle it maybe, and fully rematerialize by stripping yourself of all the ideas. And what's great is you already have this list of properties that need stripping because they're the exact things. It's like the things that you think need to be gone in order for you to get to this place. Like, I need to be in a new city. I need to have this much money. I need to have this level of skill. I need to be seen in this way. That list, they are the things that need to be gone, but they need to be gone from you. They don't need to be gone from your environment. Those beliefs need to be erased. You know, say you're like, I want to produce music, but I don't have access to a studio. And it's like, well, do you have a microphone? Do you have free editing software? Do you have access to an intermediary method? If the answer is yes, then why aren't you doing it? Maybe people aren't even going to discover you and your capacities to produce music until you make a lesser quality version of what you believe you could make. This is what it's about. This is what it's about. Okay. If your heart and your essence is in the thing that you produce, it doesn't even have to be of a certain caliber practically. It just needs to have your spirit in it, because that bundle of spirit it's like a rope that somebody you need to get you out can throw to you or cling on. Do you know what I mean? For instance, me talking right now, if I didn't make these videos, no one who's watching them would even know I exist. And maybe somebody who's watching has an idea for me and how they think I could be useful to something that they're creating, and they could give me an offer that takes me out of the situation I'm in. And I could stay in my egg and say, but I don't have a high quality camera, or I don't have a following that's large enough to justify me doing this, or something. Like some array of excuses about how one day I'll be ready to do this. But here I am with my very simple medium, like massaging the DNA of what's in my egg and what is building me up and creating me. And as I'm doing it, as I'm talking, I'm slowly in the background, I'm gaining faith in my voice and my perspective, and I'm gaining the experience to be able to maybe one day do this in a live setting on stage. And in the act of doing this, I'm trusting myself and I'm becoming more me every second that goes by. And additionally, if I didn't have the fact that I'd uploaded it and that I'd exposed it to scrutiny, potentially, I wouldn't have that experience either, which is also going to bolster my confidence or my certainty in what is worth putting out there for me. Me getting hate comments on a video like this, it's not actually going to hurt me, even though I'm incredibly sensitive to criticism. It's not, because I'm so convicted. This is why I love watching preachers lately. Conviction. They believe so much that they efface themselves, you know? Like if you watch Sadie Robertson Huff, who's got like 5 million eyes on her, and she's in a stadium, and she's so passionate about the word of God, and that is all she cares about. And there's like, you know, she gets haters, but there's no way she cares about that, because she so believes in the, well, I shouldn't call it a product, but the product that she's spruiking. So what's that for you? What's your product? And you may, unfortunately, not be able to know what that product is until you start making it. In my experience doing stand-up comedy, there's this unfortunate truth that, at least in my experience, the only way to find a joke that works is by trying it and having it not work. Like, you sit at your notebook writing these perfect jokes, and you're like, imagining how the audience is going to react, and then they laugh at the bit that you didn't think was funny, and then they don't laugh where you thought it was funny, and then you learn to flip the joke around, and then you have the perfect joke. But you couldn't possibly have found it with your own imagination, which is the practical. That's the band-aid, that's the plaster, that's the million hours of practice coming up from the outside because you saw the piano players, all the other ones do it like this, but you need to do it your way. And you need to expose yourself to that external factor of the unknown, which is the wind, the chaos of the wind. You're so big, you know, you're such an infinite bundle of energy and possibility that you couldn't conceivably know what you're capable of. And I'm not trying to be motivational. It's just truth. So if you've still gotten to the end of this and you're like, Jess, but I'm so stuck, ask yourself, is there one little thing I could be doing that I've been putting off because I've been hoping for this situation to change? What is that one thing? The final missing piece here is about timing and the balance between seeking and output. Discernment is very important in these moments where you are inside the egg, to feel in your body, when am I truly ready to be born? Is this idea that I'm having coming from a true place of alignment, or is it seeking to address a pain I'm experiencing because I don't want to resolve the things in myself that are creating the pain? An example might be, I have a feeling in my body that if I keep engaging with my piano playing for the next year, by the end of that year, I'm going to be ready to perform on a stage. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know how that's going to happen. I think I might be ready to create an album. I don't know how I'm going to meet the people, but I feel that, and that is an idea that fulfills my spirit and makes me feel warm and enthusiastic inside. But your parents are saying, you're being delusional. You need to study music. You should go to university, or you should get yourself into a music school. And so instead you have the option to attend some college of music for 4 years, and seems like the way to get yourself to that place that you feel like you could get to in a year, but you've never seen it done. And you know that it could be easier because then your parents will approve of your choices and they won't spend the whole rest of the year standing over your shoulder asking you when are you going to, nagging you about how this is the wrong idea and you should probably join that college. But that's your fear speaking. What if you choose the first option, the 1 year option, and you dedicate and devote yourself to the infusion inside of this egg of your own spirit, and you discover that 6 months in, you look around and your parents' behavior has completely changed because you're a new version of you, and so they had to change. They had to become a new version of them. And this is a pretty common message in the world of the law of attraction. Like, you hear people say this, you know, like, you change and the people around you will have to change, and you're like, yeah, right, it doesn't work like that. Trust me, it does. I've had it happen. I've experienced it. Now there's somebody whippersnipping in the background, so it's probably my time to go. But holy smokes, everyone, that was sick. Thanks for stopping by my garden. Just give me a comment. Tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe. See you next time.